Welcome. In front of me is a ASUS ROG Phone 3, and today I'll go for unboxing along with an overview of the device and, well, at the end, a little bit of my opinions about this phone. So, starting off, the packaging for this phone is what I would call a little bit on a bigger side, as you can see, compared to like my hand. This is not necessarily anything small. And let's just actually pop it open. So, maybe lift it up. There we go. So in here, I already did check it out. So in here we got this cooling fan, and it's also a Type C, so for charging, and also comes with a headphone jack, as you can see right here. And this basically slaps on the back of your phone and just charges it while cooling it. Neat addition, considering it comes with the device and you don't actually have to purchase it separately. So really nice. Now in here, let's see if we can pop this open somehow. There we go. So in here we have a couple parts to it. It looks like it does come, let me move this to the little bit farther back and lay this down. So in here we do have a case. Let's pop it out. So it's quite interesting case. Fairly, I think, similar to what previous phone actually had. So I'm gonna again set that to the side, see if there's anything in here. So those now looks like stickers. So you do have a couple of stickers that you can slap anywhere. And then we have a literal book for this. It's just a phone. It's not like, it's not a rocket. You don't need to give me a manual for it. That is basically the thickness of a Bible. So yeah, nothing else in here. Then going back to casing, or okay, that's how you lift it up. So in here we do have a little bit of additional accessories. So these are little rubber fillings for this little thing. So normally the phone has, for instance, this thing plugged in where you would normally plug this in. So if you lose one, you have two additional ones in the case, and I'm not exactly sure what this one is for. There's an image though. Also, you could only plug like one instead of both of them. Not sure why though, but I kind of liked the fact that they included those. Then we got a charger in here. So this is going to be, I believe it was a 30-watt charger, and yep, I can see it right here. Hopefully it's going to be visible on the camera if I can actually get a focus. So it's like right over here, last line from the short ones, 30 watts max. So again, nice inclusion there. Fairly fast charger. Then also a USB-C to headphone jack, which nice addition considering we already have this thing, which also has a headphone jack conversion. So basically we have two of them now. And then also a really nice braided cable for charging. Now this is a Type C to Type C, which yep, makes the charger also Type C. So again, really nice accessories here. Feels really premium just from like unboxing it. It looks like there's nothing in this part. It's just a little bit of a foam for that little cooling fan right here. So I'm just gonna put that to the side. I'm gonna come back to it soon, assuming I can find something that I want to show. Because during the setup, it brings up a little bit of a AR experience, which basically you use your phone and you look at this thing, and it has like nice animation on the screen where this basically kind of goes down and a little bit of a thing appears. But in here, I can see that we have a phone. Now I did already go to the setup, so we don't have to. There we go, let's pop that out, and that looks like it's all in here. Nothing else inside, I believe. Although, yep, no, that's it. So yeah, I'm gonna move that to the side. Pop it out of the foil right here. And maybe organize a little bit of this mess that I made right here. place it all neatly around. I'm gonna get rid of this. So, starting off, we get the screen, which is probably one of the better screens right here that I've seen in a while. So this is a AMOLED display with a size of 6.59 inches, and this is 144 Hertz. Now the 144 is just like more of a bragging right. 120 is good enough. You're not gonna really see those 24 Hertz more, to be honest. It's just to basically top it off. So yeah, now apart from that, it has also HDR10 Plus certification, so it's the actual HDR certification. So in here you're gonna get really nice blacks, which is to be expected from an AMOLED display. And outside of that, it apparently has average or peak of 650 nits, and then on top of the display we have a Gorilla Glass 6. So again, basically everything premium right here. And the resolution of this display overall is just at 1080p, so 1080 by 2340. So I would say it's just an average or standard resolution for a screen. If I bring it up really close, once the camera actually focuses, make it like entirely full screen. If you're watching this on something bigger, you might start to see pixels, but in majority of the cases you're most likely not gonna see it. If you're watching this on like a TV, yeah, probably you might, assuming the camera can see it. Now those lines that you can see on the camera, assuming you can see those, like for instance files going, like waves and lines appearing, for instance on like the Google logo that you can see right here, those are not actually on the display. This is only to do with the refresh rate and how the camera picks that up. So this is not visible. The screen is just super sharp, kind of like, if I bring it up here, that's just how it looks like. Although still on the camera it does flicker a tiny bit. I'm gonna see what kind of refresh rate it is set to. It looks like it's 60, I think. So let's see. There we go, refresh rate. So you can see we have bunch of refresh rates here, 60, 90, 120 and 144. So let's slap it to the maximum refresh rate, and this is just buttery smooth. That just that looks really good. Now let's see if this actually removed the weird stuff that we were seeing before. It still looks like it appears when I move the phone around, which, like I said, it is completely not visible in the normal circumstances. This is just what the camera picks up. But continuing on from, well, the screen, which is really good. Ooh, that's really nice sound, honestly. I really like this. Honestly, it resembles Nintendo Switch sound when you, like they're kind of, here, let me just play it for you so you can decide it yourself. It's only locking sound. Let's see if it's gonna pick up. That is really nice. I really like that sound, honestly. But yeah, going to the cameras, at the back you have triple camera setup, as you can see, which the main shooter is a 64 megapixel wide sensor. Then we have a 30 megapixel ultra wide and 5 megapixel macro. Now out of all those, the macro, I would say it's the most useless one here, probably, considering it's only like 5 megapixels. But who knows, maybe it can actually perform fairly well. We're gonna see it in a second. So let's pop the camera open, whatever, yes, cool. And let's get my plant right here. Yes, I know, circle isn't the same thing as square. I just don't have anything else to put this in at the moment, so... Okay, so... It looks like it's not switching automatically to macro, so I have to find it if I want to use it. Oh, there we go, that's the last thing. So, let's see how close I will have to get. Looks like this is the closest I can get for it to be in focus. Let's actually move it like this. Sorry for the light. So it looks okay, honestly. It does look like it has, for instance, more detail on the rocks rather than the plant itself. But this could be due to like the plant actually looking a little bit darker than it does for me. So keep that in mind. But still, the 5 megapixels is okay here. Now let's go to photo right here and see what kind of settings we're running on the photo. So camera resolution, there we go. Let's move it to 64 and now capture another photo of the plant. For a moment there it looked like it was doing, oh there we go. So it does have live focus, but it is kind of wonky. Let's see again if I can get it. Nope, I don't know how the live focus here works. So disregarding it, let's just, oh, there it is again. You can see that black square. There we go. So this is the 64 megapixel right here, and oh, there is no comparison. The macro is completely useless here. This photo is way ahead of the macro and whatever you can achieve with it. There is literally no comparison. So if you're planning to use the macro, just don't. Set it to 64 and capture with it. And when you zoom it in, this is just actually better than I ever expected. So in terms of how much detail it captures, it is really good there. Now let's see one more thing, which it almost did it correctly. It's a little bit of a miss, but not by much. So if you look at the pine needles, especially at the edges, so you can see, for instance, right here, it's blurred out, like the pot itself, which is reddish color. It's blurred, while the basically bulk of the focus is right here on the plant itself. And also the rocks become blurry, as you can clearly see, hopefully. But if you look at, for instance, some pine needles, especially like right over here, they become a little bit blurred out with the rocks. Not by much, but it's still visible here. It still did better in terms of capturing that quality and not actually, or basically determining which is the subject and which is the background. So still the blur is done okay. Now with hair, I don't know how it would look actually with something a little bit thinner. It might look, if you zoom in, it might look a little bit funky at times, but honestly this is better than I expected, and there is a lot of detail in here anyway. And the photo came out really nicely, as you can see. I really like the brightness of it, which it is brighter than it actually is for me in here. And even though it's not necessarily the most accurate representation of how it actually looks like right now, I do prefer it a little bit brighter. It brings out a little bit more pleasant look to a photo, I would say. And let's see, there's one last sensor right here, which I want to find. Panorama, nope. Night, Pro. I'm looking for the ultra wide, but I am maybe I need to disable the 64. Would be kind of weird. Yep, so it doesn't work on, oh, that's actually bad. So if you're trying to use the ultra wide, you have to disable the 64 megapixel sensor in the settings. Otherwise, these two options right here to switch between them don't actually appear. And also, I'm not sure if you can see it, but it does deform the photo quite a bit. So if I capture like right now, In the photo you can see the weirdly shaped object. So for instance, this thing, it's supposed to be a square, yet it's kind of stretched weirdly, and you can see this kind of like just fisheye effect to it. Now this is something that they could probably fix with a update, but at the moment it looks a little bit weird. The quality is okay. If you're planning to capture something with high amount of resolution and actual like depth and quality to it, then probably ultra wide is not the best one. The 64, as you've seen, is really good at it, but the two, macro and the ultra wide, are, well, macro is completely useless and ultra wide might work in certain cases. Other than that, I would probably stay away from it. So let's move that little plant out of the way. And now let's also pop out the selfie and see how that works. Now this is a 24 megapixel wide. So there is the light, so it did capture with the light. It did deal with the lighting fairly well. There is, I have to say it's a good selfie. There is detail. It doesn't really do any kind of like beauty and stuff like that, so that's really nice. It did capture, for instance, my face light up from whatever the lighting is around me here, but also dealt with the light behind me, which some phones might struggle with. So props for the selfie right here. So now moving on to the last part, which is the pure specifications of this device. It comes with a Snapdragon 865 Plus, so not the newest one, but then I believe this phone did come out already like in 2020, so yeah, July 22nd, 2020. So this phone did come with the newest Snapdragon at that time. Right now I believe there's a newer one, although I don't actually remember the name of it. So outside of that, the Snapdragon, we have several different variants in terms of storage and RAM. So the very lowest that you can get is the 128 gigabyte storage with 8 gigabytes RAM. And you have two versions for that storage in terms of RAM. So you have the 8 and 12 gigabyte RAM, right? Then when we go back to also the 12 gigabyte RAM, we have two different options for storages, 256 as well, and also half a terabyte, 512 basically. So these two storages come with only 12 gigabytes RAM. And then we have the basically top of the top, which is 512 gigabyte storage with 16 gigs RAM. Now 16 gigs RAM is way more than I would expect any phone to need. This is something that Windows computers run at right now, and this is just more than I think any Android would ever need. Although who knows, if you want to run basically every app at the same time and never have to reload them, then sure, 16 gigs seems like a really good option here. And then the device has a fairly, and I mean fairly substantial battery right here of 6000 milliamps with a fast charging of 30 watts, and also has a reverse charge of 10 watts. Now I believe the reverse charge is actually on the cable itself, so it can act as a power bank, because I don't actually believe it has wireless charging, but I'm gonna quickly check it. I have a wireless charger, although it's kind of tucked away and it would be a pain to get it on the shot, so I'm just gonna place it there and see if it charges. And the answer is no. So the reverse charging, it is on a wire, which will basically, you would have to use this wire. Now both of them are Type-C, so you can simply plug it into this and your other device and it should charge it without a problem. And that being said, this device comes at a price tag of about 800 euros or $600. Now $600, you do need to also add tax to it, so it will be a little bit more. That being said, for the price that this device comes in, it's an outstanding device. The display right here is one of the best. It's just The display is just a pure joy to use. The device runs really quickly, snappily. As you can see, everything here just runs quick. There's literally no like lag between it. As you can see, these apps were all closed by the way. So I'm just right now opening them up freshly. Play Store. Now Play Store did take a little bit longer, but still. You can see basically everything jumps almost straight into the application. Apart from updates maybe. So you can see that all of this just runs butter smooth and super fast. So honestly, for the price that this device comes in, it is an outstanding device. Now there's also a couple additional things to it that I didn't mention. Number one, if we move it to the back, you can see this logo right here. It's an okay logo. The color of it is also a little bit more stealthy, although it does have this kind of rainbow effect at specific angles when the light shines on it, which is quite nice. Nothing really groundbreaking right here. Other phones also had it. I personally prefer it to be a little bit more blackish with this kind of just more stealthy color options right here. But the logo itself right at the middle is lit up, so if you wanted to, you could set it up to I believe it's somewhere in the settings. I used to mess around with it, but I don't know if I'll be able to quickly find it. I believe it's going to be under their like custom application probably. There is even such a thing. Let's see, what is this? Okay, one more thing right here. The speakers on this device, top notch. It is one of the best speakers I have heard on a smartphone thus far, I think. So, in here, do we have anything? Launch. Let's see. All right, it also comes with these trigger buttons. I completely forgot about this. That's one of the ROG things that they do. So, obviously, the phone is made for people that game. And it brings you the, basically, triggers. So, if I can get it in the light, you can see these kind of... Let's see if I can get it. Come on. Let's see. So you can see it right here, this kind of texture. So it's right here and also here. And this is just so you... These are pressure sensitive, so when you're gaming on it, I basically press on them. You can also set how hard you have to press for them to activate. And basically holding the device and pressing on them acts as, for instance, triggers, or in shooters you can have it, you know, scope in, shoot. Really nice, I have to say. Now outside of that, that logo does light up like I said, but I cannot quickly find it where to actually change the settings for it. It's somewhere in here, but like I said, I just can't really find it. And outside of that, like I said, also with this little thingy thing, you do basically remove this rubber fill right here. Let me see if I can grab it somehow. There we go. As you can see, it comes out, and then you have access to the port in here, which is this little plug right over here. So you basically just plug it in like so. Although, let me quickly put that down. There we go. So I took that off. Slide it open. The other way around. There we go. So it goes like this. Plug it in here, shut it, and there we go. Oh, and it's already working. So just as a little bit of a, so you can hear it, how much noise it makes, I'm gonna unplug it. There we go. So right now I'm gonna place it literally next to the microphone, which is right over here. And when I plug it in, it's gonna start the fan. So this is right next to the fan. It's actually not as loud as probably on the microphone. So if we compare it to just like ambient, I don't even know if from here to, I don't know, like 50 centimeters further, you will hear it. But we can see. I don't think it's even picking it up. But still, this will basically cool your phone when you're gaming, so it doesn't actually throttle and reduce the performance in games. Really nice. So let's unplug it, set it to the side, and lastly, I'm gonna pop that back on and go into the case. So there's the case for it, and let's pop it on here the other way around. There we go. So that's how it goes on. Now it's more of a bumper, to be honest. As you can see, when you plop it on, it keeps basically majority of the phone exposed, especially like the things that are considered a highlight in here. So the logo that glows, cameras along with some LED and just lights, or not the lights, but the like stripes and design of it, and it does look really well with it. But other than that, the casing won't provide that much actual protection to it. As you can see, a lot of the phone is exposed, so if you drop it the wrong way, it's not gonna really do much in terms of protection. So that is probably more designed so when you put it on a table, the lens from the cameras doesn't get scratched, and just the glass back doesn't get scratched because it's gonna be protected. But other than that, it's a nice case anyway that it's included with the device. So that being said, for the price that this device comes in, it is a really good device. Things like the display right here are just top notch. The sound that the device makes with the speakers that it has is also top notch. The haptic feedback right here also really nice sounding in terms of like just the sound when you lock it. I really like it as well, but like I said, it's kind of ripped off from Nintendo. And other than that, the device price is, I would say, really good. For instance, Samsung's that would come with the same kind of processor, assuming they don't come with Exynos, they would basically perform probably as good until it starts to overheat and it's gonna throttle. Here you have a included cooler, and the benefit of this also, these triggers, is for gaming it is really nice. So this device basically, in my opinion, catches almost every box outside of the cameras. The cameras here are the weakest part of this entire phone, so everything else is just top notch apart from the cameras. The only good camera here is the 64 megapixel, which does really good photos, but then like the 5 megapixel macro and 13 megapixel telephoto ultra wide is just garbage, and I wouldn't really use those. But obviously the phone isn't designed for photographing, it's more designed for gaming, and at that the device just thrives in every single way. And if you're looking for a phone specifically for that, hands down, I would say this is the best phone out there. Especially, or not especially, but even if you're not looking for a gaming phone, or maybe just some kind of light gaming, just the display on here makes it a joy to use it. It's so buttery smooth, fast. Everything here is just done really well, and I highly recommend this device if you're looking for one. Now, that being said, this would conclude the overview and also my thoughts of this phone. And if you found this video helpful, don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and thanks for watching.